Namaste and welcome, beloved and mighty companions, to this holy circle of infinite light, the symbol of unending light, the light without beginning or end. Does the light, infinite light of divine being, have a beginning or an end in our direct experience? Does the infinite light that's here use words to communicate in our direct experience? Does it know what words are? This is what Jesus is trying to communicate. All communication is beyond words in truth. Infinite light doesn't use words. Yet through the consciousness, it will speak to us. Because we are the Son of the Father. This is the Son, the one Son. Can infinite light know too? The Holy of the Holies is one. In the light of divine being is the Holy of the Holies. One. It can't know other. Other is an idea arising in one. In the light of divine being and honesty of God. We can look in the light of divine being and see, is other an idea? Is it anything more than idea? It's a thought believed that generates a dream that we actually need thoughts to communicate. In the light of divine being and honesty of God are thoughts needed for true communication, true communion. In our direct experience as light beings, this is what we're being reacclimated to. The addiction to thought. Yet Jesus would give us thoughts of God. The little bit of God's holy grace in every fragmented form, every fragment. So beautiful. Not even fragments can escape light. Even if we want to escape and create a billion fragments, thousands of fragments of the untrue, is the light still here? Another day of saying no to God, or will we say yes to all that we are and celebrate? The angels celebrate it every day for us in heaven. There's just the question, will we accept all the divine power granted by the God this day, this moment, in the power granted by the Father to his Son, the one Son, not many sons, one Son, the power of the sonship. Jesus, will you reveal any thoughts, feelings, or emotions that I had today that denied divine light so that I can just place them in the light that's here and see how gently they are totally dispelled by the power of infinite being. And what happens when those thoughts go into the light by direct experience? What happens? Do they prevail? It's only our intention, the intention to withhold from ourselves, withhold from the light of divine being, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So we can take anything that's arisen. This is why we can search our mind. This is using the power of consciousness to see what's true. And search with the one who knows for any thoughts, feelings, and emotions that arose. Jesus would say, let not this rest heavy upon your holy mind. Give it unto me, and I will bring you rest. In the light of divine being, he calls you to place each thought, any thought, feeling, emotion in the light that we share and see if it can withstand it. See if there are any remnants left, once left in the light of divine being. Do they stand in this light? Let's do the worst, most horrific memory that can ever be recalled. And place that in the light of divine being. And see what the divine being, how that lasts. And hear the wisdom that comes when that's placed in the light of divinity. And the freedom that's recognized when our deepest, darkest fear, the deepest, darkest terror is just placed so gently in the light that's here, whatever it is. We're not even sure what it is, but we might have a feeling about it. What happens when we place it in infinite light? Would we keep this from the light and suffer, or would we just place it gently there? So that all remains is the truth of identity. We'll search again. Because it's our joy to do so, to release unto him all the ideas that we thought could tell God no. No, I'm not of you. The most horrific thing we could ever think, the biggest secret we've ever held from anyone that we've told no one. Just put that whole bundle in there too. That we wouldn't tell anyone, wouldn't tell a soul. Just place that in the light and see what happens to it. The light knows anyway. The deepest, darkest, I've done the world wrong. I've done the world to make a world, and God will hate me. Just put all that in the light too and see if it stands. The light of infinite being that's represented by all the brothers here. What can stand before this? Beloved Jesus, will you show us any more desires that we would withhold the light from our holy minds? The deepest of the dark, For we see in the light of divine being that we can hold back nothing from him. For we only withhold it from ourselves, from infinite light. We withhold infinite light from ourselves. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, are we worthy of everything the Father has given us? Thus, we must withhold not a single thought, not a single desire to experience separation from that light, or we will experience it. In the light of divine being, is it true that all desires must be seen in the light of truth? Otherwise, we will suffer. And is suffering in the light of divine being God's will for us? Can we find this anywhere in the holy light of being? See that the light withholds nothing from us. See that the light is benevolent. We're so sure. Jesus says, reminded me, do not underestimate the fear of seeing what's true. Yet this is a desired experience. Jesus in the light of divine being is fear, desired experience. So it feels good to give any desired experience over for fear to Jesus first. And place that ever so gently. The slightest twinge or belief that awakening to divine being involves fear, Jesus, we're willing to turn that over right here in this light. Any desire for an experience that awakening could be difficult. I'm willing to see it differently. Any belief that we aren't carried by angels on this journey, we can put that in there too. Yeah, he's reminding me that every belief that we hold against ourselves is given in A Course in Miracles. And that we'll continue to go through beliefs, and that this is given by Jesus, these light circles, for the speed up for all to celebrate and focus on the divine power, the light within, and to give no, as we've talked about, he's given me the talk on tolerance for sure, to cease and desist from tolerating denials of divinity. The story. Any story that we're not whole and complete, this is really helpful to put into the light. Is there any story, any reasons that are coming up? No, I can't be this. No, I can't be the light. And just place those gently in the light of divine being and see how they last. The light that's already here. We'll look again. It's so valuable to look to see that not one thought, not one emotion, not one idea, not one memory, not one desire can stand before this light unless we wanted to. obscure ourselves. Jesus, will you show me any other desires below my level of awareness to obscure light? To obscure that it is my choice, that I have all the power to choose divinity and cease to deny it. Are there any doubt thoughts that I have immediate power in the light of divine being to cease to deny who I am? That's pretty direct. Now Jesus is saying, go for it because you have the power to do so. Is anything other than divine light true in our direct experience as light beings? Can we find that? Jesus, will you show me any desire for thoughts, feelings, and emotions to deny infinite light? Will you show me any beliefs or desires that I am anything other than infinite light? The big kahuna, the desire to experience choice. This is a good one to look again. Our choices, we talked about this yesterday. It's good to look again because this is a kingpin in there. Choice being perception. The desire to value perception over the will of God. Jesus, is there any desire to have an experience of perception or desire experience of perception over infinite light? I'm willing to see it. Perfect peace is seeing, giving up all desire for choice. And giving it up, seeing it's not even possible. In the light of divine being and infinite being, is a choice even possible? Can we find one? One single choice that ever stood before the light and truth. Is choice known in honesty of God and the light of divine being? Can we find it? The angels sing on this one. Choiceless awareness. Here's the question. In the light of divine being, do we have any choice to be awareness? To be aware? Infinite light? Do we have any choice about it? In the light, what does the light say about choice to be aware? Choice, pure awareness. And even if we wanted to play the storyline from seemingly the idea of birth, we can see in the light of divine being, does his birth ever occurred? Does the light know that? No. Doesn't know it. Thus, we don't know it. Whatever the light doesn't know, we don't know. We just think we know. That's where thinking, we know something. That's the clue. Thinking we know something that can make us unhappy. The desire for the experience of unhappiness. Yet we see the light doesn't know anything about that. What is going on here? abdication of the kingdom of heaven on a daily, hourly, minute-by-minute basis. Unless we say, ain't so, just like the light says, ain't so. Any other denials we'd like to place before the holy kingdom of heaven? So gently in the light, because as soon as we're past not looking and we're looking directly, it's the fastest way in to see that we've never been out, but we just are. We just stop pretending that we haven't been this all along from the moment of seeming birth. Can you find a time on a timeline where there wasn't infinite light? Let's do a life review. You know how they say after you die, you do, why wait? Let's do a review now of everything that's ever occurred in anyone's life. However that storyline worked, let's look at every story and find any story in which divine light wasn't in it. In honesty of God, let's just look. Let the Holy Spirit reinterpret every single memory with light by seeing that light could never be not found in it. Are there any memories that need this to remember for me to look at directly? That's a great way to look at a memory. Look at a memory that you had and try to find a place where divine light was not in it. Because usually we're looking at memories going, what's missing? The pretending that light's not in it. So direct and unsparing. Do not pass go. Don't go to a story. Don't try to figure it out. Focus on the light. Put it in the light. Can't be any simpler, really. God loves simplicity because we are simple. That's the innocence, is simple. The idea that we have to do something, we got to work with it, we have to, we'll just find the one. Is the light working with it? Does the light have a project? To wake up and see what it is? This is just merely light training for the speed of the correction. So we're back to choice. No choice to be choiceless awareness. Is there any choice in there? Let's check in the light, make sure. Because we'll get confused during the day because that habit, but that habit can't survive these light circles. Not if we're really looking. Jesus is promising that. This is very fast, very direct, very unsparing, because we're looking directly with the honesty of God. It's feeling like we're going to start having the option to open these sessions for questions, or if you want to send any questions, you can feel free to do that. If you have questions. It was very helpful when Eric sent the Borderland topic. And we looked at that together. It was very helpful. Because Jesus is really encouraged not to do metaphysics. In a light circle where you're focusing on light and you can have a direct experience, he's meaning no intellectual discussion about metaphysics anymore. Does that make sense? Don't even spend time on that, really. I'm asking, that's not a good use of time, he's saying. Good use of time is see that you're light. And then if he's teaching something in the course, see it with the perspective from the light perspective so that it resonates immediately. It's recognized as true. So the metaphysics live. They're not an intellectual discussion anymore. The whole point is to see that everything given in the course lives within us. That we called this to ourselves to see. To recognize ourselves. So let's just look at choice a little bit here. Let's look at what would be the worst thing we believe would happen if we gave up choice. Like the immediate response, like if I don't have choice, what is going to happen? In the light of divine being, if there are no choices, is anything going to happen? If we no longer use perception for choice, is anything going to happen? That's the big stick. It's always, well, if I can't perceive, or it won't be practical, or let's ask the light of divine being, can we absolutely move forward without any perception whatsoever? And does the light say no? So these are all ideas and concepts. We're becoming pure. Well, we're already pure beings of intuition. We're just ceasing to deny it. It's not becoming something. A lot of beings speak about evolution in consciousness. Let's just ask the divine light about that so we can be clear. Does consciousness evolve in the light of divine being? No such thing. Because consciousness isn't true. It's an idea within consciousness. The consciousness can evolve. It's a perpetuation of the myth that consciousness exists. It's an investment in the changing, that something can change. Is this true in the light of divine being? We can see all these things, we know. It's helpful for discernment so that we don't invest in those things and that we really trust the voice for God within, to follow it implicitly because it is us. It's the light of us, of what is. You can't describe it. We know it's here. We can't describe the light. We don't need to. We just let it shine. That's a shocker, though. Consciousness can't evolve. Does consciousness grow and get more expansive in the light of divine being? No. Well, I don't answer it for you. I just ask the question, see what the divine light says. No, that's an idea. Is the universe expanding in the light of divine being? No. Only the light, infinite light, is true. That's it. Or can I just ask, is anything other than infinite light true? That's why this has to be the standard, gold standard, if you want to call it golden rule. Can I call that Jesus? He says, that's okay. It's not the... There's no word for it. It has to be the reference point. Otherwise, we're so disentangled into the asteroid belt. It has to be the recognition of divinity has to be where it's at, baby. Otherwise, it's a play in consciousness. Psychedelic drugs. I'll take another psychedelic drug to try to get there. No. I started asking Jesus, does he assign psychedelic drugs? No. Jesus does not assign magic. He just won't. No. Does infinite consciousness assign magic? No. It just won't say necessarily no to magic where the mind is. You know, if that's like saying to the light, having the light agree with us that magic's real. Oh, okay. If you want to believe in magic, it's all right. No. No. Go ahead with yourself. That would be the light telling us to do something, invest in the unreal. Light has to ask the light. Does the light invest in that? Not for the quickest way. Well, it doesn't. Jesus doesn't, you know, he'll tell us if we're afraid, you know, it might be better to do it. He recognizes it, but the question is, are we powerful enough to do it? And he says, anyone who come in this light circle is powerful enough. Because if you were afraid, you'd be running right now. You'd be hiding under covers. Anyone who's called to this light circle is powerful enough to see through all of it. Because we're all powerful enough to see all. It's just an expression of willingness to look directly and not go sideways. Consciousness does not expand. It's an idea. That's not going to go over well at the next consciousness conference. We just know it. We can look. We can ask the divine being. We have all these answers answered. There's no such thing as expansion. That's an idea. There is just what is. Infinite light that does not change, is unceasing, unchanging, infinite. Pure, unborn awareness. There's not even an I am presence, and the light of divine being is the I am presence real. And here the answer. It's helpful. It's a helpful stepping stone, can be. But if we're really in wanting honesty of God and direct looking, which this is, there's no longer the interest in the play. For the ultimate use of time. This is the ultimate use of time. To start with what is indivisible and see everything that's trying to divide like a little fragment. Yet knowing, even if it divides like a little fragment, that little thought of, even if it tries to run away, it's still got that thought of God glued on. Like Jesus said, every fragment carries the thought of God. You know? And no fragment is more powerful than we can ask, is any fragmentation in consciousness more powerful than the thought of God that goes with it? And hear the answer, like point blank, no. It doesn't. Stay here a while with me, Jesus said today. Come sit. Is there any assignment? Come sit by me. That's his assignment for us. And let me tell you of who you are, because you forgot. See, the light has no judgments about forgetting. But you can't really forget. You left the trap door alight. If you watch every spiritual movie, every single one, you can always see where the ego undoes itself. There's always a exit way. Because we can pretend that we want all these experiences and everything, but underneath it, there's always light, and we know. Well, we might have to get really wickedly unhappy. And as we go through all these sessions, you start to notice the slightest stick, the slightest one. But that's what it's for. That's because we're becoming so much more sensitive because we hit all the sticks. And the debris feels starting to clear out, and we're so much more aware of that twitch. And we can offer it to the light so much faster. Correction, ta-da. That's the light training. Go to the light. That's where the help is. Remember what Jesus says, if you get too discombobulated in it, and once that train leaves the station, it's harder to get help because we're already so invested in a personal identity. But even then, you can still break free. We're still powerful enough to say, that's enough. Like Bob Newhart, just stop it. I thought that was a really cruel video I ever saw. He just tells her to stop it. Now I see that can be the spirit speaking so directly, because it saves time if we're willing to do it, if we don't fight it and get mad and try to hold on to the projection. Jesus says, come sit by me. What could be a more precious invitation? Come sit by me and speak to me, because you can. Because no being has more power than another being to hear God's voice. Not a single one. It's helpful sometimes to have a symbol like this body, or because it kind of eases, because it's more acceptable. That's why Jesus was telling me God sends angels. It's easier, he sends those seeming forms. Angels are angels, Jesus informs me, and you can see he talks about them anyway. They are angels. They are of God. But he sends the forms that we can relate to best in that moment. And even so, make no mistake. Well, we've been listening to Jesus, so we know already. The light circles we know because we've done them long enough that we know we can hear all the answers directly. Anyone who can hear the voice go when we say, is there any death? And you can hear the voice inside, or that, however it appears, say no, that's God speaking through consciousness. Because we've talked about it before, the finite cannot know the infinite. So it has to be infinite. So that's really our function, is to hear that voice. And I did write that in a post when I asked Jesus, which he's been telling me, he's reminded me, he's been telling me all along. So I'll say it again because it's for me. Every being has to hear my voice. There are just no exceptions. And checking in, they can hear my voice just as well as Helen could. Just as well. Now, whether they will say yes to that took them a long time to convince me. I know that, and a lot of convincing. Whether they'll accept that they can, but we can, because it's part of its identity. It's just ceasing to say no to it. Jesus, in the light of divine being and honesty of God, Is there any desire below my level of awareness or in my awareness of me saying no to hearing your voice all day long? That I can hear you like crystal and no different from sitting next to me. Is that possible, Jesus? Does he say no? Does infinite light say no, that voice can't be heard? This is our birthright. More than that, but we can use those terms. Because there's no words for it. This is honoring divine expression. It's beyond words. And those words of that voice will take us beyond where words, beyond that. Where are there no words? Infinite being that needs not words to communicate, because it's always in full communication and words are limitations. We can see that. The divine light can't even be described by words. So this is taking us to Holy Communion. Maybe we'll have silent light circles at the end of it, probably, because there's no more. That's good too. Yeah, it's really best just to drop all ideas about what anything looks like. And I know all the spiritual traditions, I guess it takes a while for us, some of us, to see it. Have no idea what awakening looks like. No idea what a miracle is. I'm saying that he's just given me the thank you, Jesus. Don't know what a miracle is. Don't know how to express divine being, so show me. Don't have any idea about anything. Infinite happiness. Be like light. Don't know nothing. Don't want nothing. Light wants nothing. It is everything. Be light. Amen. Love you. Thank you for joining. We're so grateful. Love you.